Sure, everybody has. Welcome. Thanks all for joining. Lauren's out of town, so told me last week that the key wouldn't have been available, and it seemed easier just to do it this way than for me to figure out who to get a key from and then go down and lock it. Last time, I think Craig and I were in the parking lot trying to figure out how to break in the building. So anyway, so thanks all for going back to the good old 2020 days of doing everything this way. I had the agenda pulled up in this now. So I guess first item of business is accepting the minutes from our last meeting. Thanks again, Lauren. Great job. As always, I didn't see anything that that I had any issues with. I know Nancy sent you a minor correction that you said you addressed. Anybody else have anything? Any changes?
That's good.
I guess I will move to accept the minutes as with the edits that Nancy suggested.
I second it.
All in favor, raise a hand, please.
Aye.
Raise a hand. I don't think we can all talk at once. So. Oh, look at that. A yellow hand from Steve. I don't even know how to do that in Teams, or Zoom. So reports, I saw there were a few emails. I apologize. I haven't, I just opened up my email as this meeting was starting. So I guess we can just go around and I saw Craig said there weren't any, or there wasn't an ag committee meeting. So he doesn't have any. I saw Steve sent an email. Steve, is there anything in that email? Sorry.
Yeah. Just the EMC meeting was just pretty much a strategic planning meeting for the EMC, so nothing really to report. Although, remember, I think last time I talked about the biosolids resolution that has been approved unanimously by the legislature, the county legislature. So, if I don't know if we wanted to put our own resolution saying that we approve of that as well, or I don't know.
I read through it and it seemed pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, that Kate Darfler did such an excellent job of drafting that and talking to the people, and really did a fine job of really getting that together.
Yeah, it was impressive.
Yeah.
There were a lot of whereases.
Yeah, there was.
If you thought there was a benefit, Steve, for us doing a resolution, I mean, you could put something together and discuss that at our next meeting. But obviously,
I don't know if I mean, it's already passed, so I don't think it's really necessary now. But
I mean, we can
be on the record as saying we approve, at least individually.
Yeah. Biosolids only refer to the things that come from processing through human waste and that sewer system, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
I live down from the Beck farms, and there's something has changed in the way they're spreading stuff, and it looks biosolidy to me, but it's obviously not coming through the same processing plant.
Right.
Do they have a digester at all? I don't know how, or is it just liquid manure that they take the liquid off the top and it's just the solids at the bottom of those holding pits?
I think that's what they used to do. So it was very liquid, and they were actually, they have gotten permission to put in these big vats, holding vats, and then they were going to distribute some of it through big, huge, like old-fashioned or huge fire hose like things. But they haven't done that. And now this year they're taking it in. I mean, it looks like a truck that could handle wet stuff, and it's wet, but it's just basically sprayed out. And at one point, I think they were actually mixing it with something, because there were clouds of stuff that were going down and blowing onto my neighbor's house. But it's semi-solid now, and it's all up, just up the hill from me.
Sure.
I think that actually any of that stuff is actually can be determined to be biosolids. I didn't read what you sent out, Steve. I didn't read that reports thing, but it quite possibly the restriction is for things coming from septic system. And it's not actually sewage treatment plants. I should just say sewage treatment plants, because they also, in other places, and even here, they get the effluent from manufacturing places too.
Yeah.
So, but the things from farms, I think they still can be called biosolids, but because if they've done something so that they've settled out, if they're taking the solids that have settled out, those would be classed as biosolids to my mind and in what I'm remembering of things. Because I think any of the farms that have the methane producing things, like I have a friend who has that. Their dairy farm, they have a methane processor for all their all their cow manure, and they use the methane. But then the solids they actually take and make into cow pots. That's the brand name for putting plants in these cow pots. It's pressed biosolids from the cow manure.
So it's heated in some way.
Well, I'm not sure. It was a very expensive machine that they invested in because they knew they had all these solids left over from after the methane comes out. By that time, I think the fertilizer use of what's left isn't as great. And it's also, as you said, fairly solid. So, so they came up with this. They do an amazing business with these cow pots. They managed to make money on all kinds of things. They've been in the lead of being a very productive, money-making small dairy farm in Connecticut.
Wow.
To be able to
niche
do
market.
that. To be
That's
able
good.
to do that. Well, the cow pots, I think, are sold all over the U.S.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you,
So,
Steve.
but bringing up with that, with the biosolids things, how many of you are aware that the EPA just approved using PFAS pesticides on food crops?
Really?
Well, they didn't, yeah, they just basically took away all the restrictions, I guess isn't it?
So can you add that onto the agenda for the end? Because this is, you're talking about old business, right? This would be new business. I'd like to talk about that.
Okay. I don't know. I'd like to hear about it.
Thanks, Steve.
Sure.
Any other committee reports?
I'll just quickly say that the Climate Action Committee basically is spending most of its time trying to phrase input as well as show up at the zoning public session, which I believe is the 18th of December. Is that right? On the data center issues.
Okay.
And I just did want to note too that in our discussions, how much energy it uses, i.e. that's stipulated not just 5,000 square feet, but it's 1 megawatt, which puts it very small in the world of data centers, is the restriction that's being set. And we did want to know whether or not you could get around that by having several data centers, which had 1 megawatt usage, which is about the equivalent to about 40 homes.
Wasn't Dryden's plan to just allow 1 or maybe 2 data centers and not allow a larger number of them, to limit the actual number of data centers? Or is that not the case?
1 second, I have to turn a pot off. I'm smelling it. I'll be right back. Hold on.
I think it was 1 data center per
light
small industrial site.
Per light industrial district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the proposal. So the public hearing is going to be next month.
And I'm wondering, I remember when I was talking at the meeting about, couldn't they restrict the amount of electricity that the center used? And at the time, someone was saying you can't do that.
Well,
So,
what the idea is, as written, it is 5,000 square feet with 1 megawatt of power is listed as part of that description.
right. And so, I mean, my immediate questions whenever any of this comes up is how how do you measure it? How do you enforce it? Who's in charge?
Well,
And they
NYSEG
didn't
or
have a good answer for that.
right, and I don't think that the municipality necessarily will, but I'm sure that the provider of the flow of electrons will know.
Yeah, but
So,
are we allowed to have that information?
so a couple things. One is that my understanding is they're gonna write in that they have to provide like monthly or quarterly bills. I've raised the same questions because I remember the same thing that you just said about whether or not we can actually limit power consumption. Um, and that's something that we need to discuss with lawyers because my concern is that we can say that, but I don't know state utility laws well enough. So I want to make sure that we cover that. So that's one of the things we're trying to get more information on before the next meeting because I like the way it's written, but I don't want to pass something if it turns out that the way it's written isn't legal. And we also same issue raised on, can we also build into the law itself fines for that would matter to a large corporation that are built right in so that it doesn't have to be a problem trying to take them to court. So those are things that are in discussion and need to be gone over with lawyers, if that's helpful, you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
the Climate Action Committee wants to say up front that they would like just to have a moratorium on it completely. And I understand from another, I think I sent around this webinar or this meeting, virtual teach-in that I went to, which was very useful. And I think that there are some potential greater hurdles actually in setting up a moratorium in which you can be sued for having a moratorium or something like that. So you may know more about this, Spring, but
we already have a lawsuit against us for the current moratorium in the federal.
Right, exactly.
So.
And so that's it. So what we're trying to do with the climate action statement is say, we are against it. We'd love to have a moratorium, but if you can't, then these are the things that are most important to us. So, and that includes the megawatt of power and limiting the area to sustain only so many 1 megawatt data centers, because you can imagine how you could get around that.
Just to let people know, my phone is telling me it's really low battery and it's on charge right now. But if I disappear, it's because of that. And as soon as I have power, I'll be back on.
We'll forgive you.
Do we know what NYSEG's capacity is to deliver electricity in Dryden? I mean, are we near any kind of limit? And I'm assuming it's not limitless. There's a finite supply of energy out there.
Yeah, I don't know, but the one is it
But
what's in the proposal is there's plenty of for that. But
I think a major concern, beside all the environmental issues, is just the cost to live in the town. If so much energy is being consumed by these energy hogs, what's that going to do to our electric rates, which are already almost twice what they were last year? And
what they're seeing largely in the other areas is they're having to build additional infrastructure to bring in power into areas, and then they're passing on that cost of the additional infrastructure to homeowners, and that's what's making things absolutely skyrocket. So, yeah, I was concerned about that from the Lansing perspective, but then heard someone say that we're not on the, not that that's anything good, but that, you know, that they'd be bringing power down from Auburn. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea.
Well, I think it would be good for someone in the town to confirm that, you know, NYSEG has enough capacity or extra capacity or potential for extra capacity to not lead to these needs to, you know, bring in infrastructure and raise all our rates. Because again, my electric rates already almost doubled in a year, and I don't want to see them keep going up, especially to support something we're all sort of opposed to for other reasons. So.
And the other thing with the data centers is they're going to run at top capacity 24/7. And so when we are in a situation where we have a sudden heat wave or cold wave and people's power needs peak to above average, then you have a suddenly changed competitive scenario where there's no way for a data center to cut back and keep going. They can't just shut down for a while because everybody needs something. So it's really scary when you think about that kind of competition.
And there's no way of having these entities have to use renewable power.
Well,
You
this
can't
is
tell
the
them what power
That's
to use.
that's also
Can you?
going in, that they'd
It's
have
going
to.
in.
That's going into the document that whatever energy they consume, they have to be purchasing it or acquiring it through renewables.
Yeah.
But
How,
that's sort of
yeah, and the
doubly
only way to
problematic.
to track that is by requiring that they submit their bills for review and then have a fine structure or fees.
Yeah.
Actually, if it's a peak time, I mean, all these data centers, because they can't be without power, they all come with generators, which homeowners don't all have. And it could be said that if there is an overage demand locally, that they must go to their generators to allow the the homeowner consumers to have basically first choice on
Because they're
the
all fossil fuel generators too.
well, I realize,
I mean, it's
but
true.
you're talking about, if there's an immense heat wave, if there's some event, and I'm thinking, well, there's going to be an event because the lines are going to go down at some point too, but they're covered because they have the generators, and it could be written in there that if there's something where the homeowner, the local demand exceeds the normal, that nice the right off the power to them, they have to go to their generators to allow the homeowners and local businesses, etc., to still function.
Yeah,
Just
that's another thing to be enforced.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that. That's another thing. I just don't know the state utility laws, but I'll make a note to ask about that.
Yeah, anyway, that's what we talked about at the Climate Action Committee and pretty much. And then I did go to this teach-in environmental justice, climate and data center teach-in, which is it's worthwhile. It's much too long. But if you nip in and nip out, once I get the recording, I will share it with everybody.
Thanks, Anne. I appreciate that. And I appreciate the summary. It was very helpful. So I was going to bring that up as a separate topic, but you beat me to it. So thank you twice.
Okay. All right. That's all I have to say.
Anything new from the town, Spring? Other than data center stuff?
The big thing this past month, it's kind of a lull after budget season, which is not a bad thing, but there is a unused cell tower on Snyder Hill Road. that is going to start getting used again by T-Mobile. So I'm not sure how soon that will go into effect. Hopefully it will eliminate some of the dead zones that we have along Route 79 and I know Ellis Hollow area and Varna. So TBD. I'm not going to hold my breath till I see it go in, but the tower's already there. They're not adding enough to it to change its height or appearance or anything like that. So,
Is that the one next to Whitted Road?
shoot,
It's just right. You go up Snyder Hill and just
right
like
at the top of Snyder Hill. So that's
Just right
probably
yeah.
probably
Was that tower owned by someone else and then T-Mobile bought it, or?
Nah, it was owned by somebody. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. And then they sold it to somebody who then leases it out, and T-Mobile will be leasing the use of it.
Yeah, because I do know of behind my house on Midline Road, there's a Clarity Connect tower that I know they wanted to get rid of. It's got the old Wi-Fi internet that's like 6 down that nobody really wants to use. And I had heard that from the owner that the tower is on from his property that they tried to sell it to him and he didn't want to buy it. So I don't know what their plans are for that tower. But I can tell you, in our area, especially in that valley of Midline Road, it's really bad cell coverage. I have to use a cell signal booster in order to be able to get myself past 1 bar. So
Yeah, I don't have cell here. We have to use the Wi-Fi router. Same thing.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, my house is a real dead spot. Turns out across the road, they seem to never get dropped. And in the field, from my house, you just head up the hill, and there's a house in at that top of the field up there, and they do fine. But my house, not so much.
It
I
also
just have to
depends
go
on
to the bottom of
carrier.
the driveway and it's fine, but you get to the house and there's zilch. So
Anyway, so we need more cell towers, is what I'm hearing.
well,
use
not
the
more, but
existing
I'm
one.
glad they're reactivating an existing one. So they're repurposing.
But
So
that only helps if you're on T-Mobile. It doesn't help. I mean, if
I
you're
know
on
I'm not on
AT&T,
T-Mobile, so we'll see if it
I have no
works.
trouble with AT&T around here, but I can't use AT&T up in the Adirondack. So
Yeah.
anyway, thank you, Spring. I Nancy mentioned adding EPA rollback or lack of enforcement of regulation to the agenda, so we'll add that to the end. I just put Bob's Garden on there just to thank Jean for all of her efforts in getting that
Yes.
done. It was a great day. We had how many people were out there? 15, 20? It was quite a large number.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, a dozen or 15. And many
And
of
you-
you were there, and I appreciate y'all coming out to help.
And
No,
I got there late, and by the time I got there, which was after so it was 11, so it was like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and it was done, and everybody was gone, and things were
the
just
timing is.
Yeah.
But I also
Well,
wanted to just on the
10:30,
record.
by 10:30 I left, I think.
wow, that's really fast. Yeah,
And
and
I
it
just
looks
wanted
beautiful.
to thank Town Highway for all their support because I know they went out and they mowed and prepped the site. They dug holes for us. They actually stained the fence. They brought mulch for the trees. So, they provided an invaluable service that just, let them know publicly here that they were appreciated. And I'll reach out to Rick and let him know how much we appreciate it. So, and this just being able to, use the account. I mean, Jean did a great job, and all of you contributed, helping raise money for that. But just being able to handle that through the town, is really helpful. So I appreciate the town support through this whole thing. It's not done yet. We're planning to do. Jean with help is going to be building benches in the spring and ordering a plaque. Gwen provided Jean with a quote for the plaque that sounds very appropriate, and that'll be installed, and we'll have a little ceremony, hopefully on a nice sunny, warm spring day with some spring ephemerals blooming and peepers peeping.
No.
Hopefully.
We can hope.
Yeah, I do have the black locust wood ordered. And I was just checking on it because I thought, oh, did I miss the email from them telling me that it was ready? And I ordered it back on October 24th, and I haven't heard anything from them. So I'm gonna have to reach out again to make sure that I didn't get lost in their
Is that,
queue.
are you getting it from the place in Newfield?
Yes.
Yeah. If you need a truck, I can pick things up. You know, I have a big pickup.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a trailer, but I might take you up on that. It might be helpful.
Yeah, because that'd be easier than a trailer to just. And by the way, I really wanted to get there to see, but I had to feed the sheep. I thought I
Yeah.
had them set for things, and then I went and looked, and oh my God, I have to feed them this morning.
Yeah.
They're out.
They can't wait.
So are you going to be planting any more trees downtown? I wanted to see how you planted them under your guidance. You're the tree person.
I'm the tree lady. We're all done planting downtown as well.
Okay.
But yeah, in the spring we buy B&B trees, so the balled and burlapped ones. So I won't buy bare root trees again until next fall, but happy
Okay.
to show you how we do it.
Did the seventh tree come in? Remember those
So
linden?
no, it didn't.
Oh, that's the
So
bad.
I just haven't had time to go over to Plantsman and get it. So I'll reach out to them again. I have to go unexpectedly this weekend. I have to be out of town again. And then we're into December. So I'll reach back out to Plantsman and see, you know, kind of how long they hang around at their nursery doing whatever. It might be that I just wait till the spring to grab that one and put it in.
What's the seventh one?
So Plantsman Nursery was gonna donate a linden tree.
Oh, so there was going to be one more.
There's gonna be one more, but that's a container, yeah, tree in a container, like in a big, you know.
And I was going to
I
pick
don't
it
know,
up a
10
couple
gallon
weeks
pot or
ago
something.
and then had to go back to work.
And then you went back to work, and it just, yeah.
I mean, if you need any help picking up the tree, I mean, I can also help too.
Yeah, and I can pick up I mean, I've got a truck. I can go
Okay, all right. I will reach out to them if somebody else wants, because that's the other thing. I have a trailer, but I don't have like a pickup truck. So if somebody does want to get the tree. Okay, I'll email them again and see, arrange like a pickup time.
Plus, if you ever want, I don't know what size your trailer is, but I have 16-foot trailers, two of them. One's a
Wow.
livestock trailer and one's a car trailer. So
You know,
I
my
can pick
trailer's
up-
only 4x8, so it's not that.
that's the size of the bed of my pickup. So
Yeah.
Well, the hole's already dug there, so it wouldn't be hard. And it's a containerized plant, so it wouldn't be hard to get it in if we do want to still do that.
okay.
There's probably plenty of mulch still there. So
There's still plenty of mulch there.
And I'll try to remember next. I was so excited that I was going to I was going to see you guys today, and then it turns out it's all Zoom because I just found out my cousin Jerry Jenkins has made this amazing book of the guide to the shrubs of the northern woodlands, and so I got a copy. I wanted to show it to you all.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's done guides too. He has these you can buy the book thing or you can buy just this fold out thing of guides to mosses, guides to grasses. What was the third one? It was mosses, grasses, and anyway, and all for the northern woodlands because he specialized in the Adirondacks, so
Cool.
and Vermont. So
Bring it next time.
yeah, I will. It's beautiful though. Okay. That'll be January. End of January.
If we could also add quick to the agenda at the end that email I sent out about that grant opportunity
I know.
it's a no match grant opportunity to buy conservation land.
Yeah.
okay.
And I was
And-
looking at that and you know, I was thinking that I know the town wants sports fields, but it seems like those could be part of these conservation things because you're keeping it from being developed in the typical developed way. You're having plants on it. Yeah. It's a thought.
Maybe.
Money for a soccer field.
Well, we'll get to that. Thanks, Gene. That was another thing I meant to add and forgot. So thanks for reminding me.
Sure.
I think we sort of touched on the zoning rewrite already, but anything else? Anyone, Nancy, want to add, or was there a meeting last month?
Yes, but I don't remember that we said much about the. I don't remember anything about the zoning being memorable. They're trying to go to housing. Outside of, everything seems to be the same on this zone. People are unhappy. There were people who spoke about it, but it was all the same stuff.
Yeah, phase 1 is just really this very basic stuff, and housing will come in phase 2,
which is what we're starting on. Yeah. So we already. Oh, I know what we did. We went through the definitions. That's what we did. That we spent the whole meeting going through the definitions.
Well, that's huge.
And I managed to get them to include something in the environment thing that, yeah. And now I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was quite adamant about it, that they include this other word that would that when they talk about the environment and impacts on the environment, that they include everything, including, it was just one word that made it include things like invasive species and environmental things that are something other than temperature. Can't remember what the word was now. I don't know. It's past. It'll, in a couple of days, I guess next week, I'll be facing it again.
Okay. I'm ready. 3, 2.
I guess we'll skip over outreach. Naomi's not here unless anyone has anything to say or add. I don't know if I think we talked about a logo last time and whether there were amendments to it. But
of what are we skipping?
Outreach.
Oh, outreach. Oh, yeah.
So I don't think this is really board business, but 5 board members' terms are expiring. Does everybody know that their term's expiring if they are expiring? Me, Nancy, Craig, Jean, and Naomi.
I already put my thing in, didn't I?
I have no idea. You didn't.
Don't we have? I see a space here.
You think you already did, but I will let Cassie know if all the names I mentioned, if you can just tell me yay or nay. Jean, are you up for another year or 3 years?
I'm up for another year. I also, if we have people that want to be on it, I could cycle off as an alternate for a while too. Like I don't know if we have like a.
No, you haven't been on long enough. You haven't been on long enough to cycle out. If anyone's cycling
okay,
out,
all right.
And we need you.
Okay.
We need you.
I mean, if there's other people that want to turn, I'd like to participate, but I also recognize like I don't really have time to go to like the town board meetings or to be a liaison to a different group or anything. So if there's somebody who has more time and, I'll put it out there.
But we also
I'm happy to stay on.
Don't we also have like an adjunct position, somebody who's
we have alternates too.
Alternates, yeah. So we have.
I mean, I don't know.
Somebody wants to come. There's the alternate position.
That's true.
So that's a yes from Jean. I'm assuming Craig's a yes. Where'd he go?
It's down there.
Is that his Galaxy tab?
Galaxy tab, yeah.
Craig, if you're on, let me know somehow. Nancy's yes, and I'm a maybe. I'm gonna drop out if nobody agrees to be chair, because then it'll force someone to pick a chair.
You're done being chair. That's fair.
Chair. So somebody needs to step up.
People all the way upstairs.
Craig, you want to be chair again? I hear. Is that what I'm hearing?
Me? No, I don't want to be chair.
Oh.
Oh, Lauren, didn't I sign the papers after the last meeting that we met? I thought I did.
There's no application. Cassie doesn't need an application. She just wants to know if
We're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
be
Because
alternate.
last time we had to fill it out again.
last time we did, but this time Cassie asked me to just let her know if the expiring members wish to be reappointed or nominated for reappointment.
Okay.
And so I will pass along those wishes. She also asked me to let her know if there are any changes in roles, i.e. chair, alternates, etc. So I'm asking someone to step forward and be chair, please. Did I see Jean's fingers go up tentatively?
There was the
That'd be
one,
great.
there
You'd
was
be
the one who
great,
joined
Jean.
us last time who's become an alternate, right?
I don't know. She said
Nope.
she applied, so I'm
yeah.
assuming she
I think
would.
she
I'm
wants to
assuming
be chair.
I'm assuming she'll be an alternate member, but I don't think you can go from a new member to chair. I mean, I guess you could.
Well, currently Naomi is the alternate, and the person from last week has applied, but there is currently no spaces in the conservation board, no open spaces. So
We have room for 2 alternates, though, right? So she could be an alternate, or is it just one alternate?
But did you tell them they can just come anyway and just hang out, just sit and be there?
she's also applied to, I think, conservation board was her first choice, but she put on 2 others as well, 2 other committees. So.
Because I remember I went down to there's one of the county boards that I went to, and I would go as whenever I could. And that I just wanted to be there. They were trying to get me to join and be some sort of officer. And so I was like, I'm just glad if I can show up. And that one I definitely was always, I'd end up coming in halfway through probably. But it's the board that decides on who's in the ag districts. I forget the name of the board, but it's a county board.
Well, all of our meetings are open to the public, so anyone is always welcome to come. We rarely have visitors unless they have obviously an agenda or something they want to talk about. So we've had virtual visitors in the past few years. We've had in person. I just read the minutes. You would think I would remember her name, but anyway. So she's indicated she applied. Apparently she has, and I think there's room for 2 alternates. So I'm assuming the default is just to slide applicants in as alternates if standing members aren't stepping down, which it sounds like no one is. Craig, you said you were up for another term, right?
Yes, I guess.
Okay.
I finally decided. I've been thinking about it a long time, but
Okay.
I kind of decided I guess I'd go again.
You
Gene,
can be an
I-
alternate for a year if you want, and then
Yeah.
hop back in, rotate in or something, or just stay on. It's good to have you. I like your ag perspective and all your other perspectives. So.
We need that.
I think I'll just stay on for another term.
Okay.
Gene, I'd like to talk to you. I might be willing, but I'd have to get off of being a liaison to the Owasco Lake Watershed Management Council. I don't think I'm being that useful because I can't make it up there to the meeting, so I'm virtual most of the time, which is kind of difficult. But anyway, if I can talk to you, maybe behind the scenes.
Sure. Yeah,
I might
maybe
be willing.
bring Jean in on that conversation because I know she's interested. We figure something out.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Chair
They
and
could always
vice
be
chair.
co-chairs and split it.
Co-chairs or chair and a vice chair. I think we've typically
Well,
had.
I've fallen for the trap at work. I was co-chair of something and the other chair backed out and now I'm the chair of it. So I've been tricked by that method before.
Yeah. That's like
I'm not
vice
gonna-
president of the Bee Club and there's no president. There hasn't been a president for over a year. So
I'm really not going to coerce anyone into doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
going to step down if
But
nobody steps-
you have served your time, I think, and I appreciate you doing it for so long and
Yeah.
totally makes sense that you need a break.
and you're good at organizing.
I'm not good at organizing, and it's like herding cats, herding you.
Well,
This is
we
true.
might make it
This
difficult.
is true. We're
Well,
part of the
good at-
problem.
Maybe it's like herding cats, herding one of you, and the rest of you just come along for the ride. So.
Well, I'm supposed to retire in about 3 or 4 years, so after that, I'd be glad to be chair, but not until then. I'm way
After
too
my 45-day furlough, I kind of felt like I might be ready to retire. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, thank you all, and I will. I'll chat with Ann and Jean separately, and then we'll let Cassie know by.
Okay.
Well, she has to know
We
by
have-
January.
Do we have
Yeah,
a
also-
deadline on that?
She has to know before January, so we'll next couple of weeks. We'll wait till
Okay.
after Thanksgiving, and then we'll chat next week or the week after.
Sounds good.
Now, my term for EMC liaison is up as well. You know, the representative on the EMC. I don't know if anybody's interested in doing that, but I'd be glad just to continue unless somebody else wants to do it. So, all right. Then I'll just continue.
Thanks, Steve.
Sure.
A deafening silence.
Yeah.
Okay, Nancy, concise. What are we going to do about the EPA rolling back regulations?
No, I was just wondering if anyone knows if there's any way like the state can regulate and say you can't use certain chemicals on the ground. If the state can say they can't use spread biosolids, it seems like perhaps they could also say that certain pesticides could not be and herbicides could not be used in the state.
I would think so. I mean, California seems
Yeah.
to have lots of
when you're ready.
regulations. So
Ready, 3, 2, 1,
Well,
go.
I hope so because I love almonds and most of our almonds come from there. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, they just passed this thing. One of the things these herbicides are used on or pesticides are used on is almonds. That's one of the things. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to give up almonds. But if California can say no to them, that could work.
Yeah, I mean, because the EPA is they're just pulling back their regulations. They're not creating new ones. So it should mean then that the state can make regulations to limit that.
So we should find a way to support. I mean, the thing is, these contain PFAS. We're concerned about not spreading biosolids because of the PFAS.
Right.
So why would you want to apply the PFAS in any other way?
it's a
Exactly.
really good question.
Yeah.
It makes my brain explode.
Because without the biosolids, we're not getting enough.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right.
God. And the thing is, you can't, because it's persistent, the only way to alter it, if somebody does this, it takes the land out forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
It's like prion diseases.
Hmm.
Wait, what does that have to, what's with prion
Oh.
diseases?
You can't, there's nothing you can do if you've got a herd of cows that have died of mad cow disease and you've got them, they've been dead on the landscape. Those prions are in the soil. And there's not much you can do about it. The only thing that really kills them is bleach.
Oh,
Heat
I hadn't
doesn't-
heard about this, that they have to worry about the
UK,
prions persisting in the ground.
UK has those problems from there. But that's a side note.
That's very interesting because there's a whole bunch of prion diseases they're now deciding on, including scrapie in sheep. The New York is scrapie free, by the way. But
To your question, Nancy, about the state's ability to regulate chemicals, I know they regulate PFAS at some level because I know there's certain types of clothes you can't have mail ordered in anymore. Gore-Tex type stuff, whatever the additive to Gore-Tex is that makes it bad, you can't have shipped to you here. So my guess is if they're not applying it to agriculture, it's because of pushback from ag and markets, which seems to wield incredible power in Albany to push regulations. And it's
Well, I don't know that they won't. This rolling it back at the EPA only happened last week.
right.
So
it'll take time. And the state, the reason they redid all their wetland regulations this year was because of the rollback of EPA's protection to regulations under the last administration that this person was in charge of. So 2 administrations ago, when EPA rolled back a lot of the wetland protections, the state decided that they would expand their regulations. So it took them 5 years to get that, on the books, basically. So I don't think I guess I don't know enough about it. I don't know, what percentage of farms in New York would use these types of pesticides if it's really for big. I don't know who's using these pesticides. I'm assuming, it seems most of the farms around here are growing corn and beans.
I think it's being
large-scale
used on corn and oats, and it wasn't just almonds. It was a lot. It was really widespread, the crops it was used on.
I would say the best course of action, Nancy, is for you to reach out to your assembly people and your state legislature and
Right.
Push them
John
to.
Lamondes. I'm going to talk to John Lamondes, but
And if
he's
if
the
you
one
think
I know.
if you think it helps, we can certainly, as a board, discuss a resolution and send that off to someone to say that we're supportive of this.
Anna Kells. We should
Yes.
tell Anna Kells.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There are at various sites state by state regulatory updates on PFAS, which I don't know how our state, which probably has something, how inclusively it reads, but you can find that out pretty quickly. I can't probably come up with it completely fast, but.
And I probably can't come up with it, period. So.
Yeah, we are in the regulation promulgated states, i.e. the more regulated ones. On water, certainly, of course, as everybody knows. And now trying to think if there's anything else. Groundwater.
I'll ask John Lamondes because he's chair of the Ag Committee, I think, in the Assembly.
And we're one of few states with regulations on air.
Yeah, there's in a quick Google search, there's multiple regulations on PFAS.
Right. And we're one of the
so-
most regulated states already.
We'd have to do a deep dive, but we might be covered. So we need to better understand what we're looking for.
Yeah. And
Might be a good
it was
thing.
also to read that the one of these herbicides, the breakdown product, is even worse than the original product. That's kind of like when I had my melanoma, and they inject you with technetium to try and find the lymph nodes. And I was talking to my friend who worked at the synchrotron, and he said, "Oh my God," he said, "the breakdown products from that are horrible." But, and the doctors just say, "Oh, technetium isn't bad." I'm thinking it's a gamma emitter. Of course, it's bad.
They're just
I
the
hope
side effects.
we don't have to keep taking all these steps backwards before we realize that we're heading in the wrong direction again. It's just, this pendulum is too pendulous, right? It's just, I don't know if we need burning rivers again to make people realize that we can't. There's a reason all these regulations are put in place, and it isn't just so we can regulate industry. It's the only way that we keep an environment that's somewhat safe for us to live in. So,
Yeah. And then people who think that the industry is going to regulate themselves, well, that's not going to happen.
a few do, but the majority don't. I mean, it's a
Right.
competitive market. So, if your competitor is doing things on the cheap, you have to figure out how to make your product competitive. So, you can have all the best intentions, but at the end of the line, you're still beholden to your shareholders. So.
Right.
Anyway, thanks for bringing that up, Nancy. I guess keeping my head in the sand all the time now, I wasn't aware. So anyway, Gene, I appreciate you sending that out. I don't know if you had parcels in mind. I did separately let Andy Zepp know about the parcel that Ann had mentioned on High School Road, at 200 acres that had the wildflower garden. So I copied Ann on that message to Andy, and she was involved. And Andy was going to talk to some folks that are a different entity who have the big, they own the wetland, the
Wetland
Wasco
Trust.
Inlet
Trust.
headwaters.
Right.
And
They,
so there's I guess there's some wetlands maybe associated with this property that.
Yeah, so apparently, if you think about the property coming down from Ed Hill Road and just kind of rolling down Hile School on the south side of Hile School Road, it basically goes all the way down and transects into the wetlands where the old rail trail goes south of Hile School Road, just before you get to the primary inlet area. And so it includes some other patches of woods down there. And that wetland has gotten a lot wetter for whatever reason. I mean, there's beavers and things shift in the wetland. So we used to walk the rail trail almost right into Freeville. You can't do that now. And so I think it's all of those wetlands down there, and the guys who own it currently hunt it, or else probably some people, I think it's one of the Becks too, who also hunts it because they have permission. I think the Becks would have liked to buy the whole thing if they'd only known about it 2 years ago, before they got deeply into their rebuilding. But they apparently, I've talked to my neighbor, and so there's a couple other people who are interested in trying to preserve that wetland and the adjoining woods because they hunt it.
Do you know if the state would have any interest? I mean, do they have a wildlife? They own a parcel up there near there somewhere, don't they? As part of a wildlife management area, maybe?
I don't know of any that are state-owned along there. It's state wetland. There's the federal wetlands, and then there's surrounded by the state wetlands, but it's, as far as I know, it's all privately owned.
So would the Becks be interested in the parts that's arable?
Yes, but the people selling this is the woman who has Toads 2 ice cream and
Yeah.
There's a little house just beyond that woodlot, the Trillion Woods. That little house, which I've now learned is completely molded out, and the best thing to do would be to raise the thing. But that was Bud's house. And his daughters, and probably maybe there's more than just the 2 daughters that I know of, are the relatives who are trying to negotiate this sale, and they disagree as to how. I got a little bit of back story. And so there's not entirely family disagreement, but at least somebody who's pulling the shots says that they will not break up this 220 some acres. And they're asking $905 or $900,000+ for it. And
for the entire, they don't want to sell it as different pieces.
Right. They will not break it up into different pieces. They will take it only as a basically near $1 million purchase.
But that's the kind of thing my cousin put together down in Long Island, where he actually joined with one of the conservancies and the town of Southold, and they put together one purchase, but they had formed this unit that already agreed of how it would be split post-purchase. So that the wetland and the green and the historic Indian mound, etc., is now owned by the town, and some more of the stuff is owned by the conservancy, and then the arable land was what went to my cousin for the winery. So yeah, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, if one could pull that off, it would be perfectly doable. I know that when I immediately called the realtors, and they were already very aware, I think because of people calling them, that people wanted pieces of it for various purposes. And she said, I'll put your name down for the woodlot after it sells. And so
Whoops.
the idea is that whoever buys it will definitely want to break it up because it's probably anyway.
So the real issue here is that there isn't time for, hey, you don't know, someone might come along tomorrow and offer them the asking price, and it'll be gone. So you have to commit fairly quickly.
Maybe, and maybe not. And I'm just
It is
thinking
overpriced.
Andy Zepp might like to know that the
can I-
Becks might be
can I
interested in
finish?
part of it.
Can I finish, please, Nancy?
Yeah.
And so one of the reasons I engage with Andy is because he has experience on moving quickly to secure properties. We can apply for a grant from the state. Again, I would rather work through an NGO that has experience doing that. And another reason I reached out to Andy Zepp at the Land Trust is because that's what they do. I mean, they get millions of dollars a year in grants to make conservation purchases through WQIP program. This is just a new program this year, but they're experienced applying for the state. But the reality is it takes, months to review all the applications, and then you get permitted and then contracting with the state. So it's 2 or 3 years out before you can get a purchase and that transfer of property. So you need someone to be able to commit with cash to potentially purchase that, hoping that this grant all comes through. Yes, there might not be any interested buyers, and it could sit on the market for years or for a year, but we don't know that. So the quicker you can act, the better. The group that Andy reached out to, is sitting on money and has the capacity to purchase a property tomorrow if it came up and it fit their needs. And then, so do we know if this property would be sold with deed restrictions, that it had to stay as a 200-acre parcel, or they're just selling it this way to make it easier so they don't have to deal with surveying and everything else? And the cost
and I think that there's enough dissension in the ranks of the relatives as to who would get what and et cetera, that it's easier just to split the money. Okay. So from my understanding, there can't possibly be those restrictions because the realtors that are handling it are very aware that lots of people would buy subparts, and they're literally taking names as who would be interested in what already.
But that might almost be just as bad, right? Is splitting it all up into a bunch of different.
Well, this is the thing I mean,
you'd end up with 100 houses out there or something. And
I don't know who's bidding on the next session, but I've also been told, and this might hold it up a little bit, is that the assessed value of the property is $750,000, not 900 and plus. So that there's an obvious over asking, which at least slow it.
But $4,000 an acre isn't that seems to be about normal in Tompkins County now.
It's a mixed bag. It's not just all arable land. So,
or buildable land. I mean, if it's swampy, then the DEC doesn't let you just build on it.
Sorry.
Right. There's a lot of frontage on roads that could be, built that way.
Yeah.
I don't want a neighbor, but that's all right. That's me.
Jean, did you have other areas in mind when you?
I didn't really have areas in mind, but I just wanted to send it out in case, I thought other people might know. And I also copied Alice on that, Alice Green on that email, because if the rail trail needs to purchase properties, I think that is included. And I think to what Nancy was saying when I first wanted to add it to the agenda, that I think it's just for keeping area as green space. So I think you maybe could use it for athletic fields and stuff. It's just to prevent it from developing is kind of what it sounded like. But they do have a webinar to explain the whole grant and what's applicable and everything. And I think that's on December 3rd. So I was interested in, sitting in on that and just getting some more information, and then I can report back, or if it seems like there's other specifications that will just be like, we can't meet them or whatever, we could forget the whole thing. But if it still seems like it's could potentially be used by the town after that, I'll report back and we can talk to people in planning or whoever, whoever has ideas, maybe have like a little meeting with the rail trail folks if there are certain properties that they maybe are like hoping to acquire. I don't know. Just wanted to bring it up as a topic and get people thinking about it.
That's
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much.
And it was great. And I actually forwarded it to the Caroline Ag Committee too.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, I think. And it gets up pretty high in terms of the amount for one of the single grants is
Yeah.
pretty big chunk.
And so like I think they have that allotted money, right? And so if they give out a whole bunch of really big grants and that fewer total grants they give out, which I think that's what they tend to prefer, is to do so that like they're not managing a million individual grants. So I think if they get a lot of good applications that are the higher value, they draw the money down faster, and then there's, a smaller amount of grants that their staff has to administer. So I think thinking about going big is probably the way to go. So I'll find out more and report back. And if anyone else wants to, sign up and sit in the webinar, you're free to do so as well.
Yeah, that
So
sounds good. Was the webinar included in that thing you forwarded to us?
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
all the
next-
information was right in there.
Next
Okay.
Wednesday at 1 p.m. The third
Yeah.
one, I think. And the application deadline's middle of February, so there's it's a couple of months out, but which isn't a huge amount of time to get all the information together and have your ducks in a row. So which you really need for something like this. So you almost need shovel-ready grants at this point. That
Right.
you just have stuff ready to go. So another
And
reason
then-
to bring in professionals.
Yeah, and if we thought of a spot, like I guess like to kind of what you started to say, Jen, what do we work with this town's planning department? Like because the town would have to put in the grant, like the conservation board can't, right? So we would kind of have
they
to.
can't. Oh, we can't know, but
No, we would have to work with like Ray or like somebody else to.
Yeah, which is why I would reach out to an NGO that does this stuff regularly. That
Right.
is,
They have a
applies-
system for it, probably, right?
have staff that does it. They know that. I mean, the states. What's the system called? CD.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Everything's online. It's all standardized. You have 100 questions you have to answer, but everything has to get cut and paste out of a Word document into the blocks in the field and entered. And it's just CFC, consolidated funding something. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's an ordeal. It's not something you take on lightly, but
Right.
so the folks that's what Andy's team does. That's what Jim Curatola at the Wetland Trust. That's what his team does. So they know that game, and I'm sure that folks. The town has applied for and gotten grants, so it can be done. And if they have capacity to do it, but it seems like I think we would have to provide them with a lot of information if we were really advocating for a specific project. It's one thing to share it and say, this is out there. It's another thing to ask someone to apply for something that we think needs to be done. We need to be ready to step up and provide all the
But
the
we don't
The
we
land
don't
trust
have
would be
any
better.
place we're trying to do we? I mean, we haven't ever talked about some place that we looked at it and said, wow, we really would like to protect that.
Well, I'd like to protect the Peace by Ann because it's headwaters
Okay.
of Wasco. It drains into Fall Creek. It's kind of at the top of the watershed divide almost, and and we can. I don't have a problem maintaining ag on the arable part of it, but I want to protect the wetlands. I want to protect the woods. You have a wildflower woods and you go in there and cut the trees down. Those wildflowers aren't coming back. There's that symbiotic relationship between those flowers and the trees that goes away when one part goes away, and they don't magically reappear. You can't replant trees and expect that relationship to come back. You can't. So it's just, we don't have many places like that left. So if we can protect it, I think it's worthwhile. And if you could make it into a place that's publicly accessible and do some, interpretive stuff, I think it's great.
And that would be so perfect location wise, because it's relatively easy to, set up a pullout or two and it's already got some, it was recently logged a little bit. And so there's actually a 2-track through it that is not too injurious to the lay of the land, but it's got vernal stuff in there.
Yeah.
Has ramps.
Yep, lots of ramps.
Anyway. Thanks for
Yeah.
bringing that up, Gene.
Yep.
And if anyone has any ideas or knows of any properties that, and even outside the town, if you have people to reach out to, and we should try to get this money local, whether it's county or southern tier. I mean, the more money that stays here and doesn't go to the Hudson Valley, the better. They got plenty of money out.
They need protection too, though. They
Yeah,
also have a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
They do. And we're getting a lot of pressure too. Our population numbers aren't going down. Maybe they're not rising as much as the town board ones. We don't have the big influx of people, but because we don't have enough housing for them all. But anyway,
The school populations are going down, I've been told.
it's
So
true.
maybe are we getting more retirees or what? Or maybe people just are working too hard and not having fun.
Or they're just families are, moving away. I mean, I know my 2 sons, they grew up here and now they're gone. They're in Minnesota and Texas. So, and if they get married and start a family out there, that there's kids that could have been here and they're not. So, what happens?
Yep.
Well, appreciate everyone's time tonight. Thanks for being willing to hop on a Zoom. Those of you who
Can I
normally
bring
come
up
in.
one more thing, Jan?
Sure, Craig.
It was brought to my attention that during this zoning rewrite, when they get into housing, they're looking at lot sizes and they're looking at having a conservation easement on every lot. Like if you build on 10 acres, 5 acres is going to have to go into a conservation easement. I don't know how people feel about that, but to me, how's the town going to control that? How are they going to?
We already brought up that's, if you try to say that, you have to have a way to monitor it. And they don't have a way to, we're already discussing the fact that it's hard to deal with that.
What's the point of doing that? Do you know what the driver is for that?
Yeah. So there was discussion around, as my understanding is, how to maintain green space and cluster housing. And I think we talked about this a few meetings ago.
Okay, so this is if you have a 10-acre lot and you put more than one unit on it, then you have to have a conservation easement, which I thought was the way it is now. They just want to codify that?
That's not my understanding. It's my understanding if you build one house on it, you've got to have conservation area besides.
Oh, I don't remember that being in there when they were discussing. They were bringing up an example of something else, a place.
So Craig, I guess I would ask to see something in writing to know what exactly they're talking about and we're talking about, because I don't want to really have a discussion on hearsay.
And it's and we're still discussing it. So Craig, if you have something, you clearly think that's not a good idea. So what should I be taking to this next meeting when we'll be talking about something like that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, if you require large lots, then it just adds to sprawl, the way I look at it.
Oh, you would rather, instead of saying a 5-acre lot with a conservation easement, say allow the 1 or 1.5 acre lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Try not to have so much sprawl, because that's going to put more pressure on the ag land to be sold for larger lots.
Yeah, from all the talking I've been heard, it's not going to go in the direction of saying a single house on 5 acres, because that would make that house more expensive. And the focus, there's a very heavy focus on affordable housing. So requiring 5-acre lots is not the direction for affordable housing at all.
No, it's not. I agree.
And so I really don't think that's where it's going. But I'll let you know how we're going. This discussion is gonna take months now. I
Well,
mean,
I'm
we
sure.
just
Yeah.
started on it, and so by January we'll have something to say. I'll have had 2 meetings already by the time we meet in January. So
I mean,
I'll
when
let you
things-
know how it's going.
When things get kind of closer to the end, does the Conservation Board want to, review it and comment on it? Do we want to ask the planning
Yeah.
department to do that?
It's going to be, it'll come to be reviewed. And I mean, we can comment all the way along on it. So, yeah.
I mean, it'd be useful if there were sort of critical decision points so that we can comment before planning goes down to some point X and we say, no, wait a minute, we'd like to go back here and this is not a good idea.
It's already too late. Yeah.
Well, I think we got the comments in. I mean, the big thing was the data center before, and certainly we got a chance to comment and stuff in time. I think there will be time to comment on things, and at the next meeting I'll try to find that definition that I got my my word in, that they were concerned about climate effects on the whole environment, not just temperature.
Well, that's good. Sounds good.
So I'm still not sure what issue we're discussing here. So Craig made it to me. I heard that 10-acre lot. Currently, the minimum lot size is 10 acres for a house. Is that right or not?
That some of them are pushing for that, I've heard.
No, I don't.
What
I
is
don't
it now?
think so.
5 acres?
No, I believe the minimum size right now is maybe 1.5 or 2. The minimum size right now is dependent on what the health department claims is needed for appropriate ability to have 2 septic systems and 2
Right.
wells. Because, you have a house and then your septic system needs a rejuvenation after 60 years. You need to have enough land to have that second one put in. And the same with the well. If something happens with the well, I think you have to be able to have a second well. And so spacing for those things, I think it ends up being an acre or an acre and a half or something. I believe that's the minimum lot size right now.
Okay, and so there's some discussion about upping this lot size to a bigger number, and then
They're just discussing. They're trying to discuss how you maintain green space. I mean, it's the perennial problem, right? It's always the perennial problem if you want to maintain. But yeah, I have my own thoughts on that. But anyway, we'll see what happens, and we're not to that point yet at all. Not at all. Like I said, I don't think we didn't even get through all the definitions. We didn't get through all the definitions yet. And so we spent a whole meeting going through half of the definitions. And now we have to go through the other half of the definitions. And then we get to talk about low-income housing and manufactured housing and how just there's an awful lot to it. We are not getting to lot size fast. Not at all.
I understand that, Nancy, and I appreciate that. But Craig raised the point. I'm not sure I understand what it was he was asking. Lauren has to know what he was asking when he writes the minutes, so he can. Maybe he does know. Maybe I'm just the only one who doesn't know what we're talking about here. But it sounded like Craig said somebody was proposing a 10-acre minimum lot size and having half of that in a conservation easement. Is that the gist of it, Craig?
Yeah, that's what I've been being told.
Yeah, but but Nancy's
There's
not
some
aware of
movement
this.
that way.
Craig's not aware of this. It sounds like nobody else is aware of it. So I suggested that Craig find out what this tidbit of
Okay.
information is and where
Yeah.
it came from, and if it's actually written somewhere, if it's just somebody misinterpreting maybe something they heard. So
It
I
came
just-
from people from the planning board is where it came from.
okay, so it sounds like someone's floating that idea. And so once we know what the idea is, and it sounds like from Nancy that they're far away from making any decisions, so we'll have presumably the opportunity to provide input once things solidify a little bit before it's too late, right? Because nothing's going to happen in the next 2 months. I wouldn't think.
Right. Oh, I agree. They're going to be on this subject for quite a long time.
So we
I just
will.
thought I'd make people aware that there's some of this going on out there.
Appreciate that. We'll keep it on our radar for sure.
I believe this is
You'll
all
keep
in. I believe this is all in preparation for phase 2 of the zoning advisory group's work, which is slated for the entirety of next year. So this
Yeah.
is not
Right,
not an
we just-
immediate issue.
And we just started on it.
Right.
We've already started on phase 2. That's what we're on.
John, on a more, if that's ended, on a more logistical note, the last conservation board of the year is scheduled for December 30th.
We're not having a meeting in December, Lauren. Sorry, I should.
You're not? Okay,
No.
I'll cancel it. I'll make.
Yeah,
Just wanted to make sure.
yeah. We've never had a December meeting. We used to have a holiday party, and the past chair carried that on, and I let it die. Mostly because COVID came along and made it more difficult to get together, and people didn't want to get together, and
Right.
and I haven't had the intestinal fortitude to bring it back up. But I'll be out of country this year anyway, so I won't be here. You guys are welcome to meet in December, but I will not be here, and I'm not zooming in from England.
That's my birthday. I'm not coming.
And Anne's going to be in Seattle waiting to watch her daughter get sworn in as the whatever,
Yes. All right.
32nd. How many mayors have there been in Seattle?
I don't know the number, but I do know that for the last X years, everybody's been a one-term mayor, so the turnover has been relatively high.
Good luck to her, and I'm sure she'll do great. But well, thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful holiday season, and
You as well.
thank you for all your work, and look forward to reconvening in January.
2026.
I guess
Yeah.
someone has to officially move to close the meeting.
I make a
Well,
motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor,
Okay.
show of
Oh,
hands.
I have to get my hand up here.
Everybody
Greg's is
wave.
assumed. Okay.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Take care all.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
ya.
Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
I